Greetings, everybody, and welcome once more to Discussing Tabletop. You all ready to pop in, learn about some stuff, have a good time, chat about some things, etc., 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 etc.
No, I'm not ready for anything.
I can't do the "Are you ready for this?" I'm not good at that music. Are you ready for this? Anyway, yes, hello, welcome, and thank you again for joining me for this day. We are diving into some more Discussing Tabletop. Got a bunch of topics to talk about, and hopefully you will enjoy them all. Yeah. All right. Should we just dive in? Do we have a bit more intro stuff? I mean, like, we were chatting a little bit before stream about, the week and all. There wasn't anything major to talk about. I mean, there's nothing on my end that's major to talk about. But I guess, yeah, we can
I'm just happy it's the weekend.
I know that feeling. Sometimes it's just like, well, I'm glad this is it. And, this is like the back end of the week. Whether or not, you're still busy or not, it definitely is nice to have that position. All right, so we do have a bunch of topics.
So thankfully, it's supposed to be cooler.
I think I'm just supposed to get cooler for a bit, and then warmer after, and that kind of sucks.
I mean, yeah, it's going to go from the, high 90s to only the mid 80s next week.
Apparently, all that heat that you have over there is going to be like coming over towards me. From information I've heard, it's going to be getting hot in this area for a bit. Back towards like because again, like, we haven't had like a really like hot summer. I'm going to say it started out like pretty on the high end for temperature around here, and then it's kind of been, I'm gonna call it cool, but cooler the rest of the time after that. So it's kind of been interesting now. All right. Well, let's start with our basics for today, and our first of our many topics. We got a couple more D&D related, and the first one is we have a pretty good preview of the upcoming starter, what that's going to be like. And I wanted to talk about this because this is one of those things is we talk about 5e a lot because it is, even with how Wizards has ruined some levels of popularity, I mean, it still is in a lot of ways the box standard for role-playing games. So
yeah, it's still
it's still important to talk about these things heavily, and certainly speaking, the starter here this is usually a pretty good like estimation on how upcoming products will be in a lot of ways, because the style, the direction Wizards is going with it in a lot of ways, I think is what I can kind of say about it. So, I mean, the first thing I do like about seeing the product here is, of course, the little map. I mean, like, that's kind of funny. Is that critically important? No, but it's funny.
Well, and if you scroll down, it says there'll be 18 full-color maps in handout.
Yeah, that's kind of nice. It's like a lot of these things are standard. The tokens, the pre-made like little cards for players, the little like item cards and stuff like that. That's kind of neat. Like the little tokens, dice are standard. There's a lot of like little extra details that are kind of interesting in here. Punch-out tokens and stuff. Yeah.
The little punch-out monster tokens.
Yeah.
Besides that, do that.
The cards, which are spell rules, weapons, and magic items, NPC blocks, stats blocks that fly. It's an interesting one. I think it's good for a starter, so it's why it's interesting.
Yeah.
What else?
In my opinion, this is what like a starter should be. It's got like I like the kind of presentation and how it's basically its own like contained. It's got like everything you might want for a game that can let you figure out how you want to play it.
Yeah,
you know,
that's
map's
a great
not
way of
doing
saying
it for you. You don't need it. But then you got like stat blocks. It also kind of helps you. Kind of helps a GM show, you know, like yeah, this is the overboard preparation, but it's still kind of like. But in a way, it's also not. You know, like. You know, you need to have items ready. You need to have monster stats ready. You need to have.
It has all the
maps,
components
if you want,
that you really do need. And I do like the presentation of the material you need. Because again, like, this is stuff that you definitely would have a lot of times anyway with a starter, most likely. But it's the presentation of it. Like, rather than having a little, like, GM booklet, which you might still have a GM booklet, you know. There is, like, you also have these little cards with, like, the NPCs and creatures on it that you can just use for, like, you know, add in on-the-fly encounters. It's got a selection of stuff that probably includes some of the stuff from the written encounters, but it's like, oh, I want to do an extra thing. I've got some selections here. I've got some choices, which I think the choices for the new GM or DM is good, you know.
Yeah.
The maps are good.
I mean, the only thing that starters miss, generally, in my opinion, are rulebooks.
Mm-hmm.
And it'd be nice if they included them as part of like a starter kit. You know, like they came in the bundle, because I feel like that's just always something that, like, yeah, I get it. It's meant to be like a starter adventure rather than like but they call it a starter kit, which in my mind should include the rule books. So it's like, I feel like you should be getting the rule books along with it at at a discount by buying a whole bundle of stuff.
I can see that, because right now it's the 3 adventures. It's a quick start guide, and it's a basic rules guide.
I made my opinion on quick start guides.
I think it's the thing is, like, this is a better point for a quick start guide because it's part of something bigger. You know, I think that helps it out, because, you know, I definitely understand. There's a kind of time and a place for a quick start, and oftentimes they're not done correctly or with enough material for them to be good enough.
Yeah, I mean, that's a good point. Like, my big problem with quick starts is, like, they don't help you quick start in a game that someone's running. But this might actually have all the rules you need for this game, which that is different, because, like, generally, like I said, like, you know, I remember like every time I've looked at a quick start, it's all like, okay, but this doesn't tell me how to make a character, which is the one thing I need to do for the game I'm coming into. You know, that's actually very common from what I've seen. It's just like, the one thing that I care about is how to make a character, and give me the character options. You know? Even
basic, like, character stuff is pretty good. Now, granted, it's 5e. It's a pretty simple system. I don't think they need a lot, so I think that also helps them in this case.
Yeah, I mean, they also have but in the starter set, you have pre-made characters, and those are generally assumed to be what you're going to be using. And that's and that doesn't bother me too much. Although a lot of times people do make their own characters, but if you do, you know, it's up to you as a player, and generally you can, like, you know, look into it more on your own if you want to.
And here's the thing too. I think these are good characters because they are build your own out of the pre-mades.
Oh, you know what? I see that. Yeah, that's actually cool.
Yes. It allows you to go up to 3, choose between 2 subclasses while using these boards, give some basic essentials for each. It basically allows you to make some meaningful choices with those levels. So it's sort of like, here's the spells you start with. As you level for a couple of levels, here's some spell options that you can choose between, you know? So it's like, it limits the choices. So you're not making a full character as you're building here, but it's like a, you know, your first character you're building. And I think that this is the best, this is actually one of the best ways I've seen for a you know, pre-made character kind of build, because it's not fully pre-made, it's mostly pre-made. Let me just see if I can see better up. Yeah, I don't get a good... I was trying to look at the cards to see if I can get them closer, but I don't have a better picture of those cards that are part of it, you know, other than it's just like fighter, rogue, cleric, wizard.
Yeah.
I mean, those are the classic classes. I'm not going to lie. It's the classic party.
Yeah, and what I find really funny is that I hope they don't do the issue that they had with Lost Mines. Apparently, there was some really deadly encounters in Lost Mines for new players.
I just remember because I played through some of Lost Mines. I think I ran through some of it. Might have played through it too. I can't remember because that's a lot older. You know, that's like, you know, if I played through it, it would have been back in like back when 5e first came out. You know, but I do remember that the Bugbear, which is a CR1 at the end of the first dungeon, if they get the surprise on you, they get an extra 2d8. That's going to drop a level 1 character. You know, it's going to do enough damage on average to drop a level 1 character right away. That's why it's sort of like, it's not great for this encounter here.
Yeah, it's the Red Band Ruffians encounter, I think, that have the surprise thing.
I know it was the boss of the Goblin Kings, and it just has to have the
maybe it was a
initiative
goblin.
on. It's because of the Bugbear. It just has to have the initiative on you, and if it does have the initiative over someone, or like attacks someone that hasn't acted, it does an extra 2d8 damage. So, like, it could just do 3d8 right away, and that's going to plus strength, and that is really going to drop like most characters.
Yeah.
I don't know. This is a very good approach to starters, I think.
Yeah.
It's the thing that I'm like, I just hope this is a good sign for directions on something. That's what I'm going to say now. As much as there's been a lot of shift up, there's been a lot of problems going on in this, at least for the people that are making the D&D related products, this is a good direction. Because this is like a very good starter set. General price on here? I don't see it. Yeah, oh, I can click on this link there. I might have a price. Okay, full stuff. It's not bad for what's in there. Because there's a pre-order, I guess. Physical's 50 on pre-order. Normally starters are like 30, 35, but does include like a whole crap ton of cards, a lot more punch-outs than average.
It's its own board game. That's 50 is fine.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like the extra stuff that's in there from beyond a normal one, I think it's a fine price. You know, they get a lot in there for it. So apparently there's like at least the digital is only 15, even though it's the D&D Beyond digital. And oh man, you save no money by bundling both of them together.
Which for what?
Oh no, you do save money. Okay, sorry, you do save money. You save $10 if you get both their digital and physical for the bundle. I was looking at the prices. I linked the actual product. I guess so. I mean, that's fine.
Did you link the actual product?
Oh, I can do that. Let me do that. I have to get rid of all the like. I had just clicked on the thing on the bottom of the sheet there. Come on, let me paste.
Yeah, the problem is that the price takes a second to update, and I don't know why. You save $5 by buying
$10 for buying the bundle.
$10.
But that's not bad. But again, like 15 for a digital pack of something like this, I think that's fine. Again, it's really only only D&D Beyond, which I think is the one thing that I always say is like really terrible about these things, is you're stuck on D&D Beyond. But if you're using that and you want to use it here, it's not bad for the kind of things they put together for you there. But again, you're not getting a lot of that physical stuff, so it's a lot more just the adventures, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, there's probably like a few options that you get.
It's the thing that, like, every time I hear about a digital, like, starter set, the only advantage is if it's a PDF, because then you could just print stuff out. I mean, that's, like, the big thing about it, like the Pathfinder ones and all the other, like, a lot of the games. So I'm like, this isn't a PDF, so you can't print it out. So, huh.
I mean, they also have starter sets that are, like, on Roll20 and stuff.
Yeah,
or
true.
Foundry.
True. It's a lot of the maps, the pre-made characters, digital tokens. I guess I'll get some extra tokens, the companion. I think it's like, it's if it's something you want, I'd say like that's the thing for a digital starter pack. Look at it over it, figure out if it's something that you really want to dive into. But the physical, I think it's very good. So, anyway. And then the other D&D related thing that we've heard about. This is the only Wizards news. It's a very quiet Wizards week for once. I mean, sometimes this happens. Sometimes they're not just, putting their foot in their own mouths. Anyway, there's apparently going to be adding into the list of D&D related alcohols, beer. Because didn't we have like some hard alcohol? Did we have a wine at some point in time, I think? They've been...
Yeah, I think it was a D&D whiskey.
Yeah, so they
remember correctly. I might not be.
That sounds correct. It's the sheer fact of the amount of like booze related things they're putting out. It's been very impressive. It's one of those things that's like, do they think we're all just drinking? Like,
they know their demographic is aged.
Yeah, but like, the amount of D&D games I have gone to that have alcohol could be counted on one hand. I'm serious about that. Because most people know you don't play better when drinking.
No, but... Yeah, it was a D&D whiskey that came recently.
Mm-hmm. It's a coconut rum barrel reserve. Inspired by the dragon turtle. Limited release. Okay, so it's limited release, but with the agreement between Hasbro and New Holland, they might do more of these. Gotcha.
It's coconut rum, not beer. What does it say? New beer.
Oh, it's a reserve.
The latest one.
Rum barrel reserve. So
okay.
They're using like a barrel that coconut rum was aged in to make the reserve, so it would add some of that like notes of the rum and the barrel and all that crap into it too. I know
nothing about alcohol, so
I vaguely through like
made no sense to me.
Yeah, through seeing stuff over the years, have learned a few things about how it's done. The exact details I could not recreate, but it's like oh they it's like aging in barrels, and stuff like that. That I know that sometimes the place you prepare it in can make a difference.
I feel like that in a weird way makes sense, because like the coconut rum is very pirate themed, and so it's a beer based off of that, and the dragon turtle is water, and I think you often will like throw your cargo overboard to try and get it to like go after that instead of you.
Okay, so I can see I can see on the label here it's a rum barrel aged stout with coconut. So it's basically they just use the barrel that's made some rum in there, because again that probably has a little bit of flavor profile from creating the rum in there in the first place, and then so they're making it's all about that flavor profile. But apparently I forgot about them making the Dragon's Milk Stout that was out before. But apparently this is the same company that had done that. They're doing more. Of
I literally just ran across that.
Yeah.
To be fair, they because I'm looking at it right now. They're
just doing it again. It's one of those things that this is not necessarily bad, but it's the weird thing of like, I think this is where Wizards is probably going to have a harder time creating an identity than something like Paizo could. Because as much as there isn't like necessarily main characters, Galarian does have characters that you can kind of point out in their world.
Yeah.
Other than Dritz, who the hell do you have for like D&D that someone would like recognize off the top of it? Like,
literally, Karlach, all the people from Baldur's Gate 3.
I guess
Minsk.
Baldur's Gate 3 is probably what they've got now.
Honestly, what's funny is they're probably the video game characters the most iconic, but then you also have all the wizards like Mordekainen, and that kind of stuff. They do have a lot.
They do have some selection, so it's not terrible.
Yeah.
And I guess they're going by monster, which isn't also bad.
Yeah, and then they also have like evil characters like Vecna and Cass and those kind of people.
Yeah.
They have enough. They have plenty. I think it's just...
Yeah.
They have... I think a bigger point is that they don't have a lot for how long they've been around. And none of them have really been introduced recently.
I guess that's the thing, too.
Outside of the Baldur's Gate 3 characters.
Yeah, like Baldur's Gate 3 introduced a bunch of this stuff. But it really... That was
they've been milking Karlach and Asterion and all them for like a lot, right?
And a bunch of stuff was introduced through Baldur's Gate 3 to people. And I think that's the thing is, Wizards didn't do that. They relied on someone else doing it for them, and they've been milking it for, like, the recognition that, I guess...
100% yes.
Oh, God. Again, I don't mind these products. Expanding this thing isn't bad. But, again, like, the creativity isn't... I feel like deeply linked to Hasbro. It's deeply linked to anybody that's working with them. I get the feeling that like the New Holland Brewing Company was like, hey, we've done some like rum. We can make this coconut rum in a reserve and call it after dragon turtles because they hunt pirates, and that kind of can be neat,
Yeah.
That's the concept behind it. I understand. It's kind of cool. That's a very good direction to go for it. But otherwise, I don't know.
I looked up famous characters in D&D, and I was like looking through the list. I'm like, okay, like basically Strahd was the one we forgot, Elminster, Mordekainen, but I like Dritz. Those are the ones in the top rows. And there was but then also in the top rows is just wizard. This is this is Google trying to find everything. Tiamat, Bahamut, okay, those make sense. Tensor, Drummage, don't know who that is. Lich, that's not a character.
You're gonna go Lich. I would have gone Zaz Tam at least.
Mystique is from Marvel. Bigby Wolf is from what is that? The Wolf Among Us or whatever it's called.
I guess because of Bigby, which is another character, but no one. That's the thing is people know a lot more about.
Pulled that in a wrong way, yeah. Okay, that's more of Google point.
Yeah. Tensor and Tasha and like Mordekainen, they're known a lot more. Bigby is out there, but like it's one of those things that's off the top of my head I can't remember any. Like I can remember stuff about those three. I can remember jack shit about Bigby. He's just there.
But also Aang is here. What? Like why? Anyway, Karlach, Aragon is on this list. Why? What? This just actually goes to say they don't have like a super clear brand identity if these are the kind of things that kind of get mentioned in your articles.
I think it's the thing is like there is some to know stuff from Pathfinder, you have to have played some Pathfinder and played in some Galarian games. I think that's a disadvantage from that. Again, I think that is the big disadvantage there because they don't have the general media that's been building. This has some general media from just existing as D&D, which helps. And the Sword Coast and Forgotten Realms, that's at least a little bit more known. But again, like the details of the characters within it is Baldur's Gate 3, and then maybe you're lucky enough to either been around or been with someone that's talked to you about these things. Like I can name off a bunch of characters from various places, but yeah, it's not perfect.
Yeah, and like for me, like with Pathfinder, the characters I know visually are their core characters, the ones they use for everything.
Yeah.
They're like token fighter, they're
Yeah,
token
they're
wizard, they're token
iconics.
rogue.
Yeah.
I couldn't tell you their names because I never remember them. I'll just look them up so I know them now. But until like,
that's the thing is like, I think because they're always looking for more of these iconic characters, they have a lot of them. I think that's the problem with trying to memorize all of them. They're mainly used if you're reading the stories, kind of like with Dritz, except unlike with Dritz, there's a billion different people, so there's a billion different stories that are all using different cast of characters. They don't have to just focus, oops, all Dritz. I think that's the advantage, disadvantage, and advantage. There that the like player characters are a lot of ways less known.
Yeah, but I feel like they're kind of more iconic, and then you do have other iconic characters, obviously.
Yeah.
Like Cressida Croft, is a famous one.
Yeah.
From an adventure, but she's very important
Whispering
in the whole
Tyrant.
things.
Yeah, I can pull out the goddamn Whispering Tyrant and just put him down like on a pedestal and be like, "Hello, welcome." It's like a big bad that exists that has been defeated and also still exists. He's there. Things like I can call out like Geb and Nex because there's two countries named after them.
Oh, I didn't realize they were named after people.
Yeah, they're two wizards. One that went necromancy, one that went like abomination creation, and they got into a war with each other. Nex became a lich, went insane. Geb disappeared into the multiverse, and now Nex is still back in his country, but he's been kind of bored for like a couple thousand years. But now there's signs that Geb might be coming back, so Nex is like, "Ooh, my arch enemy is coming back! I'm excited! I want to fight him again!" Basically, the ancient lich just lives to go fight his other guy. They're a weird pair.
Yeah.
They're fun.
I think a
but they're
good
weird.
point though is when you play an adventure, you actually learn about interesting characters that are like from past games. Like if you go and like, what's with this? What are they called? What is this with the Grey Maiden? Why is this whole Grey Maiden army thing here? Oh, well, that was because it's created by the Queen of Corvosa, who went insane.
Because there's a lot of stuff that links into those stories. It is very interesting in that way, and I think that's the thing that I think that's why we can kind of point at Baldur's Gate 3, because Baldur's Gate 3, a lot of people just did with the main characters of that are on your party, but you did meet other people that were in that world that are famous characters. And also, if you dive into like the lore of many of these places, if you ask all the right questions, if you really check out the books and stuff like that are options that you have to do, you can pick up on more of that kind of stuff.
I mean, that's the only way you're going to learn about these kind of people. You have to engage in the media to learn about the people. I mean, like Pathfinder tries to be system agnostic, but they do actually, even in the core rulebook, have their example characters. So it's like you even see them. And that's the thing, like every time I'm like, oh, there's the wizard, there's the, I know when I'm like looking through things, it's like who these characters are, even if I don't know their names.
It's the thing that I kind of talk about with this kind of stuff is I like how Pathfinder's like, hey, here's our pre-made world. It's very good. If you want to use it, great. You can always make your own world, and here's some rules to make your own world. But if you don't want to go about that, and you just want to use this, come up with your own stuff within an already existing setting, here's that setting. That's the kind of way they present it, which I think is very good, because again, like, having a basis to work off of, and like an example is always good too.
Yeah.
It's one of those reasons that I get kind of pissed off at Wizards and D&D lately, because they're like, we're using a world totally. Like, I haven't dived into the new stuff of how much they actually did they do a decent job in showing off Greyhawk?
Honestly, in their DMG, yes.
Okay, that's good,
because they literally have a whole encyclopedia of. Actually, that's what I should do. Give me a second. Okay. Let's figure out some famous characters, because they had a whole encyclopedia in the back about them. That's probably where you can go. items. Where's the encyclopedia?
So it's good that they had
Let's
some
put
stuff.
this.
Okay.
Hang on a second.
Yeah, Greyhawk. Oh god, I'm bad at Greyhawk characters. There's a couple of like the evil characters that like if you talked about their name, I would remember that.
I'll be right back.
Okay. Let me look up famous Greyhawk. You're breaking Windblown, man. Mordecai is originally from Greyhawk. Okay, great. I'm gonna go over here. List of Greyhawk characters. Akarak. I know his name, but you know. Bigby's from Greyhawk. Okay. That's why we don't talk about him. I thought there's a goddamn guy just called Cat Lord. That's a name. Gord the Rogue. Kargoth. Koss. Oh, because Vecna and Koss are from Greyhawk originally. That's right. Lebanon. Lum the Mad. Melf. No one remembers. Melf's the one that does the acid arrow. Mordekainen. Where is it? Istal. I'm looking for a specific one. Oh, Otto. Oh, because he's Otto's irresistible dance. Yeah. Mostly, so many of these spells that are like in other places are from Greyhawk. That's kind of like a weird thing. There's Tasha. There's Tenser. There's Vecna. The War Duke was... Oh, yeah. What's another evil guy here I'm missing that I just don't remember the name of? That's from Greyhawk. Can't remember. Anyway. Welcome back.
I apologize. I just heard people walk into my apartment. I was very confused.
Oh.
Turns out it was my mom and my sister.
Okay. At least it's like not something to be super concerned about. I did.
Yeah, well, it was super concerning for about 5 seconds.
Yes, I understand. I did discover most of the wizards that have spells named after them from Greyhawk
Are dead.
I mean, that's also probably true too. But like Melf, Tasha, Bigby,
yeah,
they're all from Greyhawk.
Yes.
That was one of those things that I'm like, how do they end up in? I guess it's wizards and their infinite wisdom wouldn't explain how it ended up in places like Forgotten Realms, but they just did in the same name. Like if they had like Spelljammer working properly, it would explain it a lot more. Just saying.
I mean,
but Lemon in his tiny hut.
it's like yeah, Lemon's tiny hut. Yeah, I think it's just that they got super powerful and were able to like universe hop. I think was the logic.
Actually,
They kind of made their influence everywhere.
The only one that did that was Mordekainen, though. The rest of them really didn't do that. For most of the ones that have a lot of power, I think Tasha kinda did, but she's not Mordekainen levels of powerful.
Elminster kind of do that too.
I guess
I think
Elminster.
he's from Forgotten Realms.
Elminster's from Forgotten Realms originally, but I think he did the same thing as Mordekainen. The two of them did some of the similar things, just from different realms.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah. I think that's maybe why they went to Greyhawk, is so they can explain all these characters and stuff. Because yeah, they really aren't in the other ones.
I think it's because also like outside of Sword Coast and what we have in Baldur's Gate, they don't really have a huge list of characters, while Greyhawk has a lot more characters in the world. Like, I can name some characters that are from outside that region, but they are like if I mentioned Zaztan, he's the head of the Red Wizards, and he's like he's the I think he's technically the de facto ruler of Thay now, because he kind of usurped the council. Turns out the Lich Necromancer has the time to do that when the rest of you aren't undead. But
Yeah, I'm like curious actually when I think about it. Like they might actually have a lot more because here's the thing, in second edition, in first edition, second edition, and third edition, they had a lot more setting guides basically with a lot of different
Yes.
settings.
Yep.
They've
And
really only done like 3 in 5e.
And they've overlapped too. It's the thing too.
Yeah, like Eberron, Faerun, and now Greyhawk.
Yeah. Like, if we go back to second edition, Ravenloft overlapped with all the other ones. There was something from Dark Sun. There was a Dark Lord from Athos. Only one. A bunch of them that came from Forgotten Realms. A bunch of them came from Greyhawk. A bunch of them came from... Some of them came from Dragonlance. Good old fucking Dragonlance, you know? And there's a couple other systems that were out there that were all, like, very unique. Spelljammer, Sane's Chase, I never remember if I was playing Shift, or whatever the hell it is at the end of that one. And then a couple other random ones that, like, I can't remember all of them. There's, like, Al-Qadim, which was technically, I believe, supposed to be in the same... It's also on Toril, but it's a different region than the Forgotten Realms. There's an entire region that's kind of more, I guess, Middle Eastern cult-coded, with airships, and I believe Al-Qadim's all on that one. Kind of like, there's all the adventures in Karator that they kind of did some of, which is their version of Asia, too. But, anyway.
And there are, like, yeah, because, like, I just don't think there are enough for how many worlds they have, and they don't put out enough on their worlds to have, like, a clear idea about famous people.
Yeah, I agree on that one. It requires something like what we got with Baldur's Gate 3, which I don't know if they're going to be able to do the same, because they're not going to be able to recreate that game. It took too much time, and they want too much money quicker, and any kind of quicker game they're going to do is not going to be as lore heavy. Granted, there are types of games that I think would work with the ideas they have. You could do an action RPG where you're playing a paladin or a fighter of some kind, or maybe Dritz. They did a stupid game with that Dritz characters, but you could do an actual decent one. What was it that I forget the type of game it was, but it was that game that they had that came out with Dritz like a couple of years ago that was not great. But you could do something that was in that wheelhouse that's actually good. Just saying. I can try to look it up.
Also, like, yeah. Also, Imoen is something just popped into my head.
Yeah.
She's in all the Baldur's Gates, at least, or she's in the first 2 Baldur's Gates.
Yeah.
Wait, what the heck?
What?
I just decided to look up Baldur's Gate characters from 1 and 2, and there's Wilson, who's a bear.
Yeah. That is definitely that is definitely another one. Yeah. Wilson the bear. It was Dark. What? It was D&D Dark Alliance. Yeah. The weird kind of third-person action game. Yeah. I mean, like a third-person action RPG.
What was that? What was that game? That like mobile game that D&D put out?
Ooh. I am. Apparently, there was a Warriors of Waterdeep that came out in 2019.
This is a Dungeons & Dragons video game. There's a wiki.
Yeah, I'm on that.
Oh, this is like everything. No.
It is a lot of stuff. Yeah.
I'm curious about though. It was like.
There's Al-Qadim, the Genie's Curse. Oh, cool. That they had a game for Al-Qadim. That's kind of neat. Were you also in favor of that? Check this out.
It's still a thing.
Okay, it is Sakara on the peninsula of the continent of Favor.
Warriors of Waterdeep, I think that's the one.
Yeah. And I was right about Al-Qadim. I was correct where it was located. It was also on Torgal. I wanted to make sure of that because if I get that, I sometimes brain. Oh, I forgot about anything Mystara. too. We're playing and we're from Mystara in Joe's game, but it's hard to remember Mystara because like things are set there, but it's like they don't. The setting's not as important for that one, I guess. Anyway. Yeah, I mean, there's been a lot of games and stuff. But... shall we move on though? We kind of dove into this.
I want to say one thing though. So
Uh-huh.
Warriors of Waterdeep, which is kind of like supposed to be a thing where it's like, oh, the famous, like they've included like Karlach and all of them and stuff. It's like, oh, all these famous people are here. I remember that was a thing that you can get them in. And then I'm like looking at it, and it's all like, I'm looking at the character list right now. They don't have like, I don't know who any of these people are. Outside of like, Astarion and Karlach and stuff.
Yeah. Again, it's one of those things that sometimes it's hard to make those characters. Okay. Let's continue. A brief stop by Munchkin game. Now, normally, I've been doing a lot of Munchkin games, but because of our good friend Joe, I wanted to talk about this one with Munchkin, not my monkeys. Just because Joe saying something about monkeys happens a lot.
Got it.
I mean, really, like you've been around Joe. You know the kind of things he says.
I'm trying to think about what you're talking about. Like, it's weird that I understand what you're saying, but can't pinpoint a specific example.
It's basically like it's how you're doing, and he says like something like monkeys or something like that.
Okay.
Because he kind of does that.
Like how Blaze, I like how you asked Blaze how he made how he's doing, and he just makes a noise at you.
Yes. Yep. I mean, like, it's another Munchkin add-on, which I mean, like, here's the thing. It's core Munchkin. There's been a billion of these, and it's 56 more cards. I'm like, I'm beginning to think about how many of these can you do to the core.
Simultaneously?
Yeah. Because the thing is, these are a lot easier because these are all just the same, like, type of Munchkin. They're all the same type card as, like, the basic set that originally came out. So, yeah. And, I mean, I guess, like, you can get 56 monkey/ape jokes. I guess that's enough if you have them. I'm just looking.
Like Baboom. Baboom's pretty good.
Yeah. Monkey around. Be appealing. Funky Monkey. Staboon. Reese's. Oh, like Reese's Monkey, but Reese's Pieces. Ew. It's poop. I'm looking at the back of the box and seeing the cards that are there.
Yeah.
Well,
thinking,
oh, they got those better pictures for those. It's fine. It's fine. But there you go, Joe. If you're somewhere and sometime you watch this, monkeys. To go along with your normal comment. And to add that wondering of how many of these can you really get out there? I am asking that question.
Well, I think a better question is how many, like, they've kind of stopped being unique is kind of the issue. It's kind of just, like, are there new mechanics for each of these?
Probably not. Like, usually you get slightly new mechanics when you have, like, a new base set. But they really haven't been putting a lot of those out outside of, like, IPs lately,
Yeah.
When you get something like this, there's nothing new about it. It's just monkey-based cards, which I think we've had other animal-based cards.
Okay. Sorry, I just looked. If you scroll down, there's like a all Munchkin products. I clicked it, and just the list is gigantic. Like, I just had to laugh out. Like, the way it just.
Yes. Yes. Mm-hmm.
Because it like did this slow thing where I'm just like,
I'm gonna say,
expand.
I'm looking down this list, and I think these are all base Munchkin. The original set.
Interesting.
Yes, because Conan, I remember, counted. I think Penny Arcade did the same. I'm like, because I'm looking here because we don't have like
It's
any.
like a journal pack 1 and journal pack 2. Which
Those were
says
things.
Star Munchkin.
That might be Star Munchkin then. So I'm just looking down the list,
Yeah.
and I'm not seeing any of the other ones except for the like some stuff like that.
Yeah, no, this is an expansion. So there are expansions here.
Well, I mean, like all these are expansions to the core set, pretty much. Because again, like style and back of card basically are how you determine the different set groups. And there was the original Munchkin product had one unique kind of back to it, and kind of it's a lot of products go to that. Like Star Munchkin has its own back and own card style. Even like, you know, the newer ones with like the Shadowrun or the Warhammer ones had that same thing. But I looked down this list, and yeah, these all products that tend to either be related to it or, you know, I guess because some of these aren't necessarily or might be mixed bags of stuff. These are all based around that original set of Munchkin. These aren't based on any of the other ones. They might have, like, maybe, oh, it's got some Starfinder cards in there, or Star Munchkin cards or something in there, or some, you know, stuff like that. But no, this is how many products you would have to pile together if you had all the normal basic Munchkin cards. This is without getting any of the expansion, not the expansions, without this all the normal expansions. This is without any of the other Munchkin styles, which you can play together with. And originally they said you could shuffle them all together in one giant pile. That doesn't work. That stopped working like 5 sets in. And now they're at this. This is expansion bloat. I'm just looking at this list. This is insane. And some of these I know are on here because normally they're another product like the bookmark collection that also includes like a card in there. So you get the bookmark collection and they give you like one card in there or something.
Yeah.
This is such a bloat. God. Now 56 more monkey cards to go along with your like unicorns and
Again, the
cows
idea
and
I know for
horses.
a fact it's not meant. You're not meant to play all of these at the same time. It'd be hilarious, but you're not meant to.
It is just another animal because I just looked up. There is indeed a squid, rats, snakes, cows,
Yeah, so
goat sets too.
Mm-hmm. Dragons.
Yeah,
Dragon
dragons,
turtle,
unicorns,
dragon trike. Dragon's trike. What's that?
puppies, kittens.
Oh, a dragon literally on a tricycle.
Yeah. Anyway, this is a thing. I guess, you know, if you want monkey themed cards for your Munchkin set, go wild. I would actually like to see someone with all of these together and try to put them into a pile and see how big it is now. I am really curious how big the two, because again, it's like 2 decks, so I guess that helps. But how many cards have they reached to play with all of them? How many? Oh, I did switch over to... Anyway. So, I don't think... Alright, this is one that seems neat. Alright, I'm gonna see if I can find this here. That's not what I want. I'm trying to find if it's because I got the news link here, but I'm trying to find another link here. I'll give the news one here for this one. But, that correct? Why is that weird? Well, that works. It's fine. Pellegrin Press for their GUMSHOE game, which is their mystery kind of game, is coming out with a kind of cozy book. What is this here? Miss Shire's Detectives, Mary Shire Detectives Club. So I guess the way I've kind of thought about this when I was like looking it over it and kind of wanted to talk about it is it reminds me of like those British mystery shows. because
Yeah.
they're all like kind of mysteries, and they might have a murder or something like that, or something that went wrong, but they're also like, oh dear me, Mr. Jimmings was murdered. I guess we'll have to find out. And then it's all about, like some kind of weird plot or something like there. It's very
Well, it
like,
seems to be more based off like supernatural stuff.
ooh, I could be more supernatural stuff here.
'Cause, I mean,
Oh, there aren't any cosmic horrors or secret cultists here. Yeah, the usually the worst thing is someone gets murdered in the quaint village. They're kind of going for it here.
Yep.
They do
But
say
also,
PBS or BritBox. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Oh, what?
oh yeah, okay. So it is in a supernatural world though, so it's like weird.
I think
stuff.
Gumshoes.
So it can be weird, but
The GUMSHOE system is made to be more of that supernatural mystery, and I guess this is the book that takes you into. It doesn't necessarily. You could still be in that supernatural world, but this is the more like regular, non-supernatural mysteries that you'd have in it.
yeah, in a supernatural world.
Yeah. So sort of like, it's like going into a fantasy world and then having one of those like British murder crime shows, because there's nothing particularly mystery or magical going on there outside of the normal setting of Britain. So this is like, you treat it like it's a normal setting and are just doing like a regular, like, there's been a murder, we have to investigate it. It was just old man Jenkins who murdered his wife. So again, it is
Core GUMSHOE.
fantasy, and it works with the
Yep.
core GUMSHOE stuff. But it's meant. I do like this because it is more. It's not as. I guess the way to say it is extravagant as sometimes you get with like, more fantasy, supernatural, mystery type things. This like kind of like, it is your down to earth kind of problem mystery, and it just so happens that you're in a supernatural area to doing it, which is kind of fun. It's a different take on stuff. It's like there's aspects of like when you guys were doing Crimson Throne, which were a little bit more down to earth, which I did like, but it was set in this entire like the fantasy world, and there was a bigger plot at hand. And if we remove the bigger plot and just had like a kind of like down to earth little like, you're going on an investigation, it's kind of fun and nice sometimes, that aspect can be fun to do.
Yeah, I'm also just looking more into GUMSHOE itself. Yeah, so the whole core of GUMSHOE is solving mystery. So it's just, you take that and you take a step back into like the more cozy, minor stuff.
It's mainly simpler stuff.
They do have Book of Unremitting Horror, which is more of the Cthulhuian mysteries, and then you've got Bubblegum Shoe, which is teenager mysteries in an American small town.
I guess that one would be the one that would be the non-fantasy setting, and so this is kind of like this is kind of in between those two, I guess, where it's like it's still the fantasy setting, but it's not like the horrific horrors from beyond the veil, I guess that teenager one could have a little magic, but that's usually the.
And then you have Cthulhu Confidential, which is actually Cthulhuian.
Again, this is a little fun direction for the mystery game. GUMSHOE is just one of those that definitely has seemed interesting since it came out. It's just, again, another one of those ones that was kind of on my radar that would have been nice to try out. It's on the list. My list is big.
Yeah.
There's a couple hundred games.
Look,
probably.
if my idea actually gets off the ground, which I've started making progress on, you'll probably get to play a bunch of these.
Get to try some of them. That'd be fun. But anyway, so there's the Maryshire Detective Club. If you're interested in checking that out. Just because it does have new themes, and I should talk about it occasionally, there's a new Yu-Gi-Oh set that's been announced. Phantom Revenge. It's got 3 new themes. I don't know what they mean by themes, because they say Hecka Hands is one of them, where cards that steal opponents' cards from their hand, deck, extra deck, or graveyard. So it's a specifically type of theme to steal cards. What you have some experience. What would themes
Give
be?
me 1 second.
Sorry.
So add 3 new themes to Yu-Gi-Oh! One of the 3 themes is Heka Hands, which are cards that steal opponents from the next. Okay, so themes are. I assume this is like how you had the ancient gear theme.
Okay.
Where it's like the Heka Hands is a theme. But
it's a
that
style
theme
of
features
cards,
around doing something. Yeah.
Okay.
So like the ancient gears is a lot of small pieces that form into bigger pieces. And like an ancient gear golem and.
It's if you boil it down to like I guess me remembering because again it's sort of related but not related. The original like Yu-Gi-Oh anime where someone had like a dinosaur deck, someone had a bug deck. That'd be kind of like a simple base on themes because they'd have synergy with those type of cards.
Yeah, that was originally when that came out. That was kind of the idea. It was more instead of having like themes, they had basically just creature types, and they like creature types tended to synergize with themselves. However, as things evolved, that became too complex for just all bug types to work with all bug types.
Yeah. So they basically split it into like smaller things that are basically one style of mechanic that works together.
Yeah, and they when they build it in, obviously the best decks mix these, but
Yeah. You find a balance between a number of themes that have some basic synergy to each other that work together. I can see that would work. It's kind of like with Magic, where you can build around a specific style of play, but usually if you add a little bit in or kind of synergize with another style, they work together best.
It was to basically be like if you made a deck consisting only of Final Fantasy characters.
Yeah. Can work.
Basically a Final
Fantasy
deck.
Yeah. But it's better to mix. Yeah. Okay. So a card stealing theme is one of the ones that's I guess going to be brand new here that are introducing.
Well, that's not brand new. The Heka Hands is new, which has card stealing elements. Because I know for a fact card stealing is not new.
Oh, okay. One of the 3 themes involve Heka Hands, which are cards. Oh, okay, so it's involving the card stealing cards, which is something that's there. Okay, gotcha.
Well, yeah, like the abilities they have will be based around card stealing.
Are rares just common in this? I'm just gonna say this now. I'm just gonna take a step back because they say it's a
so
55 cards, which are ultra rare, super rare, or rare.
Okay, so these are more. This is more of like, these aren't as far as I'm aware. These aren't talking about like the rarity of the card in terms of collectors rare being available to start. If I remember correctly, these are more like the foil types rather than like.
Because it breaks down to 10 ultra rares, 10 super rares, 40 rare cards, 15 of those cards being available as collector's rare, and 10 of those cards being available as starlight rares. So I'm guessing collectors and starlight are just special versions of them that are more expensive. And then it's 7 cards, which is a foil, and 6 rare cards.
Yeah, so it's the holographics. The rares and stuff are they're holographic type. So yeah, it's basically it has nothing to do with the rarity of the monster or the rarity of the thing. It's like basically is it a foil card? Is it a mega foil card? Is it a shiny foil card?
It's I don't know why they're called rares then if all of them are rares. I'm just gonna say that. That's why I'm like, are the rares just their commons? Because it's like it feels that way with when I look at the breakdown of this set. Is this just how rarity is broken down in Yu-Gi-Oh now? Is this how it is?
There are normal cards.
Okay. I guess it's not every set has those.
Yeah. If I had to guess, let's see. because this is for and you set
I'm just
set
getting-
breaks down to having 10. Oh,
Okay.
hold on, I'm
So
confused.
pre-construct decks, booster sets.
Because with they might actually be referring to it. So here's the thing that confused me, because I actually knew about the holographic and that kind of stuff is like rares. But I actually think certain creatures can only appear at certain rarities.
Gotcha. Because I'm looking at this, and I looked up rarity on the Yu-Gi-Oh wiki, and apparently there is a normal card, which is OCG. What's the OCG for TCG?
Original card game.
Okay, so that's the common.
Wait, no.
So there is a common now. I'm guessing the common might be part of the pre-constructed, the starters and structure decks. Maybe.
Common short print, super short print, TCG. What's OCG? Actually, I am curious about that.
Then rare, super rare, holographic, foil rare, ultra rare, ultimate rare, collector's rare, secret rare, ultra secret rare number 2, or no, secret ultra rare. God damn it! Ultra secret rare, secret ultra rare.
Okay.
Prismatic
Okay.
secret rare.
OCG
Ghost-
is printed only in Japan. TCG is printed everywhere else.
Gotcha. So when it goes across, it's all of them then. Okay, so there are some common cards. I guess it just depends on where they are. At the moment.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think that's what it is. Is certain rarities of creatures can only appear at certain rarities. Like you're like, for example, the Ancient Kirgolm, which is a rare card that I had, I think only can appear as a certain level of holographic. Like, you know. So, you know, like, so by getting a rarer version, you're getting a rarer card. But then there are some that can appear as like multiple. But then they have a range of rarities, I think. So, like, you can get a super common, completely useless card that's like super holographic. So I don't know why they do it this way. But...
It feels like there's a billion rares and occasionally some commons in certain places. That's why I look at this and I'm like, it's just all rares. If they're all rare, that doesn't make a difference. How are they did whatever. Congratulations on your second loop.
I have a bunch of them.
Please.
They tend to be most common. I just think the reason they bring it up like that is because certain creatures can only appear at certain rarities.
Okay, so they're basically saying like it's these are certain rarities because it makes a difference, especially like, you know.
Yeah.
This is a new set, but they don't say whether the set is all new cards or if it has reprints in there or something like that. So knowing what level of stuff is in there, if there are reprints, it's only going to be reprints of that certain rarity and stuff like that. And again, I do get the feeling that maybe like with the starter-based stuff and like, you know, pre-made decks, maybe that's where you probably find some commons and stuff nowadays. I don't know.
Yeah, okay, yeah. Like, I just looked up a random card, and it says, set, you know, at blah, 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 rarity, super rare, and starlight rare. So, like, you know.
Yeah.
So it can appear in those two rarity categories.
Gotcha. It's weird. I'm sorry. It's one of those ones that I'm always confused about Yu-Gi-Oh's rarity. Because it's not...
Yeah,
It's not.
I knew the rarity was like the holographic. I just didn't realize like that certain cards can only appear at certain rarities. That did not occur to me until just because yeah.
They don't have good language.
That's why I was confused about the terminology, just because I was like, wait a second.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
All right. But that's our little. Oh, I didn't switch this over. GUMSHOE. I haven't been switching this over in the images. No. I'll have to kind of actually do some work when we do stuff. Anyway, let's talk about the Northlands. I'm going to some Kobold Press. And I do not think the Kickstarter page is live yet. We can do this here. So, looks like Kobold Press is going on Norse on us. Or Norse style. Nordic inspired. Norse inspired. Mythic Norse inspired campaign. God. I can speak English today. So, we're getting Northlands from them. Good on you, Kobold Press. So this is an interesting one, because this is going to be for D&D 2024 and Tales of the Valiant, of course. It's a setting, player options, a bunch of adventures, and some VTT support, all together in one. So, it is a bunch of stuff. So you get the World Book, which is the various, like Norse lore inspired stuff, and then apparently 12 epic adventures that I'm assuming could be taken in order for one giant path, because of the way they say it. But you don't necessarily need to get it all in order, I'm guessing, too. Because you could just do individual ones from adventure packs. And, of course, then, yes, you can add VTP support for this one. So this is kind of neat. This is fun. Norse-inspired stuff.
So what are we were talking about, the Kobold Press thing?
Yeah, Kobold Press is Northlands. They're Norse-inspired adventure, which they have a book and a sagas book, which apparently you can take the entire sagas book and I guess just run through all of them for one giant, adventure path, or you could just take 12 separate adventures that, are...
Yeah, I was looking into Tales of the Valorant recently, and I was very confused about their worlds. I wasn't sure if they were multiple different worlds or if they were all in the same world.
This one feels more like its own setting pack, so you've used this on its own. But I'm guessing, depending on the situation, it could work with another world pack, depending on the thing. I'd have to see exactly how they do this stuff like this, if it's exactly if it is individual or it could be kind of layered. That I'm unsure. At very least, it's on its own.
For example, they have a Midgard world book, which I'm just like, okay, that's a thing.
Yeah.
I have their Labyrinth world book, which I think is their main one.
And then it comes down to the question: is do they stack it all? I can't tell you.
Oh, right. Okay, that's why. Okay, if I remember correctly, yeah. So what it is Labyrinth is their main world, but it's a world full of other worlds. Very. Magic the Gathering, I think it is.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Or the plane hopper kind of thing is their Labyrinth world.
Okay, so that's why they can they set it up for having these various unique settings that are this is this world that you can go visit, or that you can have your adventures completely in. Yeah,
and that's why I'm confused by it, because it's not super clear.
Gotcha. They are going to be putting out for D&D 2024 also. Hey, good on them. They're diversifying. Plus their own one. There's no reason for them not to.
Yeah, I mean, they literally redesigned their whole thing to be more compatible with it, so it makes sense.
Yeah. So, this one apparently
actually, I was looking into it, and it's very interesting because, fun fact, they actually just made the Warlock a half-caster in their Tales of the Valorant.
Interesting.
Yeah, I was like, that's actually a unique way to do it, and honestly, it really helps. The Warlock is such a weird class, and it has so many issues.
Yes. I'm not going to lie. It's... The two versions of Warlock I like best still are 4E Warlock. I think was really cool, but it was in 4E. And I'm not going to lie also, the original 3rd edition Warlock, which is one of those things, that's the inspiration for every Warlock, the one they came out with in 3rd edition. And I feel like it wasn't great in 3rd edition. It's the introduction, it's interesting, it had abilities that were very good at the time. So it was a good class in 3rd edition, but there wasn't a lot of fancy stuff to it. It was basically you just shot Eldritch Blasts and occasionally had extra powers. You had you had invocations and then just shot Eldritch Blast. That was all they really did, which was fine enough during that time period. But I feel like capturing that or developing that has always been a problem since then.
They wanted to expand the spell casting, and that's why I'm actually just what Tales of the Valorant did, and just making it a half-caster actually just makes the most sense.
Yeah.
It's a half-caster who has a lot of other abilities to make up for the fact that they're not a full caster.
Yeah. You have it's basically you have your half-casting, and then you have a... Actually, was that 3rd edition Warlock? Was that half-casting too? And I'm not remembering.
I mean, I just looked up... I just looked up 3.5 Warlock, and they don't show a spell list. They don't show a spell tier.
Yeah, they have invocations. Yeah, no, they didn't have that spells.
Yeah.
But I do think that works very well because then the invocations can give you stuff that makes up for it, that gives extra abilities, and then you can still get the casting and stuff like that.
Yep.
Man,
But they do get, like, detect magic as an ability, so they don't have to
Got 3.5. Warlock got Eldritch Blast 96 at 20th level.
Well, scaling was ridiculous in 3rd edition, so.
Yeah, a 96 Force Beam was pretty gross, not gonna lie. Really kind of was. But, so yeah, that's the Kobold Best release. If you're interested in checking this out, it is going to be up on Kickstarter in September. All right, so I threw all these together because 1, they're board games, 2, they're all based on IPs. It's the IP Board Game Roundup. Woo! I guess we'll go one at a time through these and just talk about them a little bit. But I guess kind of for a topic set together. There's a Diablo. Well, this is a role-playing game. I'm sorry, I thought it was a board game originally, but it's a role-playing game. But it's IP-based stuff. So we're getting a Diablo role-playing game next year in summer.
That's cool. I hear the Diablo world is pretty cool.
Diablo world is interesting. It's dark fantasy, so it could work pretty well. It's epic dark fantasy, so that's kind of interesting. We'll see more probably next year. We'll talk about more. Then for some reason, because there was a Diablo board game also coming out at some point. That's why I think I messed that up in my brain. There's a Batman the Animated Series board game that's going to be coming up next year also. Enemies of Gotham, they call it. Hey, the animated series is one of the better Batmans that are out there. Maybe one of the best. So, yep. It looks like this will be a 2 to 5 player game. I'm guessing probably a cooperative game going against the enemies. But it might be like one team versus another team. It doesn't say for sure about the style.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's not much to go on here.
Again, it's a game.
I assume this is mostly stuff that was announced at Gen Con, so.
Yeah. This is a bunch of Gen Con basics announcements. That's why I kind of like they're interesting. There's stuff to look out on the radar for, but that's why I kind of like just put them all together. There's a Witcher board game, a new one. I think we've had some before. There's Witcher Legacy. I'm wondering if it's just a legacy board game or if it's going to be something on its own. Which legacy board games, I don't know if we've talked about them a lot, because they're board games that you kind of play through all, and you really can't play through them again. There's 1 to 4 players that's supposed to play in 120 to 240 minutes, so 2 to 4 hours of gameplay, and it's coming out in 2027. Ouch.
How? Wait, did you? How long? Oh, sorry, 2 to 4 hours. I don't know why. I thought you said 20 to 24 hours.
Oh, sorry. Yeah.
No, you said it right, but my brain just misheard it for some reason.
I guess someone attacks the wolf school. You're a bunch of witchers that are who are from there. They're supposed to hunt down some people. That's the mission. Battle monsters, train skills, manage resources. It's cooperative. Got solo mode. It also has a story-driven campaign. So this at least seems a little bit better from the way I'm reading it. I'm guessing there is like a free play, but there's probably like a legacy campaign you can do with it. And I think that's probably for the best. Like, oh, hey, I played through the legacy campaign with me and my friends. We could go back and just visit and play the game. I think that's a little bit better for legacy games because it's one of those things I've always argued about legacy games. They're cool, but they're like when there's a one-time playthrough experience that you can't play again. I've always been kind of cautious about that. Because like it's like we do stuff that we pay for, we go to movies and do stuff like that. I'm not against that necessarily, but this tends to be, honestly speaking, can be more expensive than a movie. Depends on if you're getting snacks at the movie or not. That's a thing. I don't buy snacks in movies, so movies aren't that expensive for me. I also like to go to matinees. I'm cheap when it comes to these things. That's why I'm a lot more like hesitant, But I could understand it. But, yeah. So that's something coming out in 2027. So quite a ways away. And our final
Yeah.
board game on this list is, of course, a Legends of the Five Rings board game. I haven't heard about something from Legend of the Five Rings in quite a while.
I've heard of. I only found out about it recently, but that's because listening to Matt Mercer talk about how cool it was.
Yeah.
I saw his video.
Well, there's the original RPG. I think there's also the card game that was Legend of the Rings card game. I don't know what else there is in the
Legend of the Five Rings. If it's what I'm thinking of, started as the card game.
Yeah, I believe it did.
So.
Yeah, I'm just trying to see the original history of it. Yeah, it's from
L5R.
'95, and I think it was the collectible card game was the original one,
Yep.
and the role-playing game kind of came out because it was setting came out during that time period. I think the setting was made up agnostic of the card game because it looks like the original RPG first came out in '97. So what I'm guessing is they came up with the idea, put out the card game first, and was working on because again, card game. Probably takes less to develop than a RPG. Probably.
So here's the thing: the card game was an RPG. It was a whole social experiment, basically.
Yeah.
Again, I watched Matt Mercer's video on this. Matt Mercer?
Matthew
Colville,
Colville?
sorry,
Yeah.
Matt Colville. Thank you. There's too many Matthews in the RPG community.
Hello, I am also one. I don't go by that, which is helpful.
But yeah, Matt Colville talked about this. Basically, the game was their role-playing experience. Basically, they actually put out new packs based off the victories of their old tournaments. And like when a clan died, they'd remove it and stuff. It was a whole thing.
I didn't realize the original CCG went from 95 to 2015.
That was not the original.
That's
TCG,
the original. That's the original
No.
CCG that came out in
it continued.
95. The living
the
card
first-
game is a different one.
The living card game was like the first 5 years of it, I think.
The living one was discontinued in 2021 and went from 2017 to 21. So it replaced the original 2015 one. The original CCG was the one you're talking about that it influenced the stuff influenced by the players' actions and tournaments and stuff like that. That is true.
Yeah.
It just evolved into a different card game that discontinued in 2021. But they're technically separate, I guess, with the weird history of it. And then the RPG.
Well, yes. So
has
it
its
was.
various
Yeah.
editions.
It was called Legend of the Five Rings, though. They didn't change it.
No, it went from Legend of the Five Rings to Legend of the Five Rings, the card game.
Yeah.
Oh, and that was after Fantasy Flight purchased Legend of the Five Rings. Interesting. Oh. Does Fantasy Flight still own Legend of the Five Rings right now?
No idea.
I'm curious about that. Oh, okay. So it was transferred by Asmodee to Edge Studio. That's another subsidiary. So I'm guessing now that Asmodee is no longer part of Embracer and its own thing, it's probably still with that subsidiary Edge Studio as of 2020. And I'm guessing then just someone got the rights from them. I guess Offsdog just wanted to do something based on the world. Whether they're connected with Asmodee or not, I don't know. They have too many subsidiaries. Asmodee. Yep. So. How do they partner with Asmodee? They're also apparently working on a video game that's been in development since 2023. Whether or not that cancels at some point in time, who knows? But 2023 to now, that's not a long part of the development cycle. It could be like another 5 years before we see anything from the video game. Yeah. But this is anyway. This is the Battle for Toshi Rambo, which is different than another game that was announced this year, Champions of Rokugan, which is apparently a thing. So we're getting a bunch of Legend of the Five Rings stuff. So I guess it's on the comeback in a lot of ways. Oh, and Office Dog also apparently released Rivers of Gold, which was an economic board game based on it, looking in the wiki for Legend of the Five Rings. So they've already done one for the setting before, and they're doing another one. So this is it's a fortress management, recruiting samurai, drafting orders, building up military, and get 7 victories. And I guess you're competing against each other to be the better clan when it comes to building this stuff up. Interesting. Again, there's another one coming out next year. We'll know more about it then, but it's more Legend of the Five Rings stuff. I always think it's cool when we got more of that. Anyway. Here's our board game roundup. Plus 1 RPG that I accidentally mixed in with there. Oops. Shall we move on?
Yeah.
Okay. Hey, we're gonna stop by Diamond again because can't go a week without something from them. This one's better, I guess, in a way. So one of their main consigners, the one that basically had filed the motion to stay their motion to seize the consignment, is basically trying to force some distribution and consignment. I'm not good at understanding some of this. So Ad Hoc has filed a motion with the bankruptcy court that's in charge of Diamond to force Sparkle Pot LLC, an ad populum company that has the assets of Diamond Distributors and Diamond Select, decide if it wants to assume or reject the consignment agreements that were enforced by Diamond and the publishers when bankruptcy was filed. I think what this means is they want them to officially sell off the stuff. They're trying to force them to do the official channels while they stop them doing their I'm going to acquire it to get all the money. It sounds like what they're doing. Does that sound like what it is? Because again, this is the same group that filed the motion for them to stay seizing the consignment. I guess this is basically either returning the stuff from consignment or finishing the consignment for the publishers, I believe. But I have another article here about this too, because apparently also this is getting incredibly expensive for bills for this entire thing. So I guess all this court cases, court cases, money adds up, yay! Mm-hmm. And apparently this is such a mess that it is getting very expensive, yay! Because apparently they've already spent $1 million on attorneys. Thanks, Diamond. You could just go ahead.
Sorry, I'm actually just reading this because it's very dense.
Yes, I think that's the thing about it. I'm trying to understand it, but it is an incredibly dense entire thing. It's the amount of money owed to the 12 companies in the ad hoc committee for products sold between filings and sales to Sparkle Hawk and Apple Sale.
So that does remind me. I think I found out something recently that I've been kind of confused about all of this.
Okay.
And it was basically I was confused because it was all when because the way I saw them as distributors, they were people who I thought they were people who they were sold the product and then they sold the product themselves. So it was they were a pass-through where they technically bought it and then resold it. With that said, I was oh, so they're just taking the product that they didn't buy yet. No, it's actually worse than that. Because I found out what Diamond actually did, where they are basically given a share of the profit. They're given a cut to receive all of the pieces, assemble them, and then ship them out. So they're they're people. They also do books and stuff, so they'll assemble books. If you think about it, books come in the paper, the binding, and the etc.
Yeah.
They basically assemble things. They're a company that does that. They assemble the pieces. So basically, they were shipped all the pieces, promised a cut of basically then they distribute it out.
Yeah.
So the problem is they got all this stuff, assembled it, and wanted to just sell it for themselves, so they would get the full profit rather than the partial profit they would get for doing their job.
Yes. They don't want the amount they would get for doing what their job was, which I also think the other part of it is they had a lot of connections with big places, you know, like they sent things to big box stores like Amazon and stuff like that. That's another part of this entire thing, is they had that connection channels that, yes, they're assembling stuff, but they're also then moving that stuff out to those places. That they have.
It's kind of like if you had, a good way to put it is like, let's say you had a friend who said they would build a computer for you. And so you purchased everything, had all the parts shipped to them. They built the computer for you, and then they decided, okay, I'm gonna sell this on my own now for the full profit of the computer.
Yes.
That's basically what Diamond is doing. It's a bit worse than I thought.
It does include that layer of not only when you sell that, I'm going to sell that to like some like, you know, big place that will give me my full price or maybe more for it, you know. That's the kind of thing. I have that connections to sell it to the right place, you know. As I said, they can put stuff into big box stores. They can put stuff into Amazon. That's the thing. And they were the distributor for stuff in the US. I think that's the other thing that, like, we talk about this is they were the top distributor. There was no one other than them, you know, if we're talking about major distributor. I think there's some minor groups that are out there and some people that do individual stuff.
So, well, here's the thing. Based on a video I saw, basically they bought out most of the competitors that exist.
A tradition in many of these places, just to buy out the competitors to, you know,
and then go bankrupt. How does everyone do that?
Well,
it's almost as if that kind of mentality of take out all the competition bloats you to the point of where you can't do anything, and then like you just sit on the money that you basically get by being the only person in town. Your stuff goes so downhill that people find other ways to do it, and then you just collapse.
Yeah. Anyway,
it's almost as if monopolies are really bad for economies.
Yeah. I don't know. I think when you have something as major as this, that's just like a big thing going on in the tabletop sphere. That's why we talk about it. So yeah, that's the two things. It's becoming incredibly expensive, which, I mean, like, that makes sense. Especially when the, you know, side on Diamond is trying to be, like, complete dicks about this entire thing, and fighting tooth and nail for stuff. And it was already a mess to begin with, so. More of it, more mess. Oh. Cool. I'm just making sure I got my stuff right. Anyway, so that's the Diamond thing. Anyway, hey, on more positive news.
Oh,
Gen Con.
yeah, one more thing. Sorry, my family was just saying bye to me.
Yeah. Go ahead, finish up. Before we move on.
Yeah, so it sounds like they, based on what I read here, it sounds like they already started selling things, and now they're like, okay, so they owe what the people what they've already started selling. So that's kind of the issue here. And they've been bought out by Sparkle Pop, it sounds like. But they're like, okay, well, what do we do now that the people have been selling things? Because we now owe them people, you know, or we can continue the fight in court. So it's just like, what the frick?
Yeah, it's just, it's an issue.
So, yeah. That's, at least that was the first article. I didn't read the second article.
That's just more about how much it's becoming a very expensive thing, you know. It's court things, and it's being a very expensive court case. So
I like how Diamond's attorneys Saul. They're doing really dirty stuff, and their attorney is called Saul.
That's hilarious. Gen Con set a record setting attendance and sold out. So
wow.
Yeah.
I'm guessing that hasn't happened since COVID.
72,000 attendees. As a hell of a number. And the thing is, I don't think they have sold their maximum capacity, and they're getting close to the max capacity where they can go.
Okay, they actually did in 2024 as well, but before 2024, the last time they sold out was 2017.
Yes. And again, like, this is not only selling out, this is selling out and being slightly more than last time. Because I'm guessing, again, like, you offer so many tickets and you estimate, and you do have, like, a maximum size the show floor can have, but, you know, you don't necessarily want to go to that.
The facility you purchase.
Yeah, you might not necessarily be ready for, like, the maximum the venue can have. But apparently, yes, now they are approaching that maximum the venue can have. But apparently another hotel is being built in the area that might help out with that, you know, so... I mean, again, like... When apparently someone says that the show brings in $82 million to the region, I'm not surprised with 72,000 people showing up.
82 million?
82 million. With the entire Indiana Convention Center and Lucas Oil Stadium packed with global visitors and attendees, this year's Gen Con generated more than 82 million economic impact, said Chris Gall, Executive Vice President and Chief of Marketing Officer for Visit Indy, which I'm guessing is the part of the Indiana government that's, you know, trying to get people to go there. And so, yeah, they are actually taking, like, people from Gen Con and being like, we're trying to expand the convention center. We're building new hotels. Continue to be here with us. Look at all these great things we're doing. That'll help increase, you know, your ability to also grow.
Yeah, that is basically 1150 per dollars per person basically spent.
Again,
so
that can make sense for, like, hotel costs.
Yeah, no, like a hotel plus, you know,
food, anything you buy there, you know, all the various things.
Yeah. So no, that's totally within reason. I was just curious. Yeah, so it's like, you know, honestly, it makes sense, and that's a lot of money for a region.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I remember going to, I went to Lima, Ohio, for the eclipse, and it was a big thing. Like, it was like the biggest thing that happened in that tiny town in like years.
Man, it's crazy number still. I think that's just the thing is I look at that number, I'm like, that's crazy. That's big. Our last for the main topics for this week are, hey, this is an interesting one, and I can explain why it's interesting for anybody that doesn't know. Hey, 40K has introduced a codec for Leagues of Votann. Why is this interesting? Because they really haven't had a lot of stuff like this. These are the Space Dwarves, which are technically an abnormal human, but they're also the ones that are technically clones and have AI, and they're really weird, and they're from the center of the galaxy. The Leagues of Votann, if you don't know about them at all. They're basically Space Dwarves. So they're economics-based and stuff like that. I've
not heard of them, I'm going to be honest.
Yeah, they're relatively newer. I don't know how new. Relatively newer for Warhammer means nothing. You know, when was League of Votann introduced? I'm gonna find that out. Their miniatures came out last year. So, the Codex is out now. No, actually, wait, no. No, that was this year. Leagues of Votann. When were they introduced? Sorry. That's when... Oh, so the miniatures are coming out this year. I'm sorry. That was 2025. I'm just trying to find out when they were introduced. Game history. Thank you. Oh, I guess they were mentioned in the first edition. But it looks like as their own thing. I'm trying to figure out when they were really introduced. This article's massive because there's so much crap in here.
Yeah. I'm looking through stuff too.
Okay, so officially as they are, Leagues of Votann was introduced in 9th edition. So, That's as a concept they were introduced there. As a faction. And apparently, though, as a proper product, they haven't had a lot for them, and they're getting a bunch of stuff this year. The leagues were revealed in... okay, the original version of the league was introduced in April 1st, 2022. And then they had a... This was actually revealed in late September 2022.
Could be for a different edition.
Yeah, that might have been 9th edition. Because they're talking about this from 2 years ago about them being the codex and stuff out. Apparently, there just hasn't been a lot about them, so any kind of new codex is good. That's what I kind of mean. They're relatively new. Yeah. And any big thing about them introducing lore and mechanics and stuff is good. And apparently we're also getting new miniatures for this. And this is, they're technically human, but they let humanity think they are an alien race. Because if the humans knew if humanity and the Empire of Man knew they were humans, they would want to assimilate them into them. And these are people that still use AI. So that's a big thing about them. At least Photon. They're also all clones too, but that's it. Entirely different aspect of it, not to get into everything about them. So that's kind of interesting that they're getting a lot more stuff now, and they're an interesting concept for just a faction that's out there that tends to be non-aggressive in a lot of ways because they live in a place that no one wants to go to. The I guess Galactic Core kind of is a terrible place to live apparently. And they live
yes, that's they're. Galactic Core is like super dense. There's just lots of dying stars. Basically, imagine if let me put it this way. If a star explodes, 100 light years away, we're doomed. Mm-hmm. And now imagine if stars are packed so tightly that you have one every light year.
So, yeah, they're from that kind of region, and apparently that's one of the reasons that they're kind of squatter and shorter and stuff and kind of stumpier. They basically got the dwarf form because they've been living in the Galactic Core. That's the excuse for it. That was the human adaptation to it. Stockier bodies.
Okay. But that's the thing. Galactic Core doesn't necessarily mean more gravity.
Look. I don't know why that's the lore of theirs. That's why they're like that. It could have been reason for adaptation. I mean, the other entire thing where they're they run their lives run on AIs that basically are connected to them, and the clone thing. So I don't know. There's a lot of weirdness for the league. They're an interesting idea in a kind of weird space, and they are kind of galactic merchants too. So it's interestingly enough, and again, very new.
Yeah.
So they're getting a book, getting information about them, getting new miniatures, and this is kind of leading into it. So there you go. But okay, that's the news. Do we want to push our main topic again, or are we actually going to do it this week?
I say we do it.
All right. Character morality. We've been pushing this off for 3 goddamn weeks because there's been so much Gen Con stuff and other news. I guess we're to start out with this one. So, the reason I wanted to talk about it is this is something that, when we talk character morality, it's different than player morality. Every person has their own moral compass. Right? Yeah. Sometimes you play a character that has a different moral compass than you. Okay. It is important to understand that, and we should talk about your character and making sure you understand your own character's general morality because, hey, that's good. It means you understand where your character will react to things, and how they are going to go about things. And there are aspects of the game which can question some of this stuff sometimes, Things like you dealing with, killing off monsters, killing off, bandits or other people, having to do crime, we got to steal something. Is that within your, purview of stuff that you are willing to do? These are actual questions that are technically important and should be asked in some games. And I think it's one of those things is sometimes we do, but a lot of times we default to our own morality in a lot of ways, and I think that's something that's kind of both interesting and a kind of balancing act here in a lot of ways. Because again, we're defaulting to what we would go to.
Yeah, I mean, okay, I'm kind of confused about what the topic is, but I'm gonna say that yeah, most people play at least part of their personality in a character.
Yes.
Generally, the more, I mean, you tend to get better and you tend to be able to branch out more as you get better at it, but basically the very first RP character you ever play is almost always yourself to some degree. It's like a slight variant of yourself. I know a guy who always plays the same character, though, and there's people like that as well.
I think what I really mean by this is I'm trying to be like, hey, you as your character are going to face things that are questionable in this world and are different than our own world, and you really, like, again, should think about how your character would react. It's, like another aspect of personality, backstory, and stuff like that. It's, when you face difficult situations, what kind of choices would you make? And thinking about it ahead of time a little bit, I think it's very good for your character. Because then you're like, well, if I'm dealing with this kind of situation, how am I going to act? If I'm dealing with, again, like, there's a difference between going and fighting monsters and, like, very vicious things, or, like, hunting down, some criminals. Especially if they're just thieves. And are our characters going to try to take them alive? Can we not take them alive? Do I just have magic which can't take them alive? Am I going to an area and, like, getting rid of a we're killing off this monster here? There are some big questions that sometimes pop up. They don't always. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah.
They don't always. It comes down to, the type of game you're playing sometimes to determine when they're like, some of these questions are asked in the first place. That's an important thing.
I think my question is, what is our focus? Is it how to play someone of a different moral compass than you? Is it what to do when faced with things that you're uncomfortable with when playing a different character of a moral compass than you? Is it just general,
I think we've talked about the uncomfortable side of things. I think we should really talk about, like, how to play it without being, like, too far or something like that, or, like,
Got it. Yeah, there's that whole idea of where some people just like, oh, I'm gonna be different, so I'm gonna, like, be extra bad, and it's just kind of like, that's not how bad people work.
You're breaking free of your already compass that you have, your morality, and then once you've broken free, you can do all these things here, and I think that's the kind of thing. It's like, yes, you are not as limited as you would have been with this now, because again, you are playing this character, but there are understanding what your character would do, and then also understanding what you should and shouldn't do sometimes. Even then, it's sort of like, just because you can do it doesn't mean you should do it, kind of things. And I think that you as a player should understand that kind of balance between it, about, like, my character believing in this kind of thing. Okay, let's take the bandit sings. You've been asked to take out go capture some bandits. You are not necessarily asked to take them alive or dead, but you have learned that they are just some general thieves. They tend to use some violence, but they try not to. They tend to leave everybody that they go after alive. They don't go for the kill. You learn this kind of thing. So that would ask the question: am I just going to kill all these bandits as part of my mission? Am I going to try to take them alive? They just have to be brought to justice. you have to ask a lot of those questions and understand those questions, and you have to understand the world, understand your character, and understand, you know, like, what seems appropriate in the situation, in the world it is, too. And also, like, again, this is not as big of a moral quandary in this issue as some of the other ones that can kind of face in a game. Certainly there are some bigger quandaries that you can wander into, either on purpose or accidentally, that are a lot more, I really have to think about it. Like, this one's a little bit more cut and dry. You know, like, would it be appropriate to just kill them all? Well, I don't know. That depends on where you're at and the situation you're in. Would it be more less appropriate, more feasible to capture them all? Would it be possible to capture them all? These are questions you kind of ask when you're facing these kind of situations where you're doing that. I think it's one of those things that sometimes players and characters are just like, just, you know, go ahead and kill them, you know, because that's the abilities we have. But, you know,
yeah,
it's there are situations, like, again, like, this is a very cut and dry idea. There are situations where you're dealing with stuff like this that might have some questions about it and some ideas that are like, what should I do here?
Yeah, I mean, most people even have the idea that it's okay to kill and self. That's actually very common.
Yeah.
So, I mean, generally, but, like, you know, do you basically use only non-lethal attacks? I mean, okay, I'm just, like,
It's one of those
things. Really, because what's hard to talk about this is it depends on, like, your actual moral compass. So it's like, how do we make say, oh, this is an exception for something that is very unique to each individual person?
It is one of those hard things to talk about, I think is what it is. That's why we've talked about, you know, having in a game hard topics and stuff like that. And that kind of involves that. And some of these topics that we're kind of getting into here are not as hard as others. The simple idea of, like, this one that I've suggested.
Hard as in, like, it draws the line. It's hard as in it's just hard to talk about because it's all like, I mean, I could talk about, like, my own experience, you know?
Yeah.
I mean, it's so funny because, like, I remember, like, for Vercel in the Records of Evil game, I was planning to be a lot more evil, but when I ended up being with a party of basically neutral good people, I was all like, I can't go overboard here. This is not going to work if I do, you know?
That's another thing, too. That's another level of this, as, you know, because the group of characters that were there, it also drew things back because each of them created their own compass. Like, you know, I think Jess's character was kind of like, had loose morals when it came to things like thievery and ownership of stuff and stuff like that, you know. Would just take stuff if it mean necessary to survive and stuff like that. Would not have anything against it. But they were not a type of person that would go out of their way to, like, kill people and stuff like that. And I think then, like, you know, Jake's character was just kind of good.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I think the first step for making a character of generally, I'm going to assume most people kind of have a, you know, most people are good, I'm going to say, or sorry, most people try to be good is a better way of putting it.
Yes.
So, like, when role-playing a game, generally the thing that's odd is, you know, evil. So generally, I think a very important part is, you know, have you heard of the whole lines and veils thing?
It sounds familiar, but I'm not remembering.
It's the whole idea of, like, you say, okay, we're not crossing this line. This is a line we're not crossing. This is okay as long as it's veiled. You know, like okay, you go in the back room and have a good time with the barkeep. That's a veil. It's like you're not going to describe it in detail.
Yeah.
Whereas, like, you know, a line is like, you know, okay, no, like, I don't want that. You know, I get uncomfortable, like, you know, talking about that at all. You know, so it's like, okay, well, like, okay, this person goes and, you know, draws a knife on the child, and you go, no, I can't handle that kind of thing. And it's like, okay, you know,
we're not doing violence against children.
Have to take a step.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then
yeah, and I think that's
So-
that
and
is
the
a very
player-
major
so
part
basi-
of this. Yeah.
Yeah, so like the player can basically, a lot of the times they say like, oh, you have a red card that you can hold up if you have an issue with something, and after that we stop, we talk about it, and then we change things if necessary. That's like a line. And then a veil is like, you agree ahead of time that we're not going to cover these topics as long as, or we can use these topics as long as they're not covered in detail. Usually sex is the most common veil, where it's like you can say that you go and have a good time with the barkeep, waitress or whatever, but you don't
Go into
actually
detail.
cover it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's like a good way of kind of like introducing all of this here too, because this is the kind of thing of like, when you are correct, generally speaking, this kind of stuff comes up when you have to consider your character's morality outside of your own, when you are especially acting out something that's outside of the normal norm. Most of us try to be good people. We try to obey the general rules, the laws, you know, so we're that we kind of aim for that kind of lawful good if we're going by old alignments, you know, generally
I mean,
speaking.
well, no, I would actually say most people are neutral good.
Okay. Yeah, I guess technically it's like you follow it as you need be. You don't try to go out of your way for it, you know.
Yeah, like people tend not to be super like legalistic. People tend to be okay with doing things that are illegal as long as it's not too bad, as long as it doesn't hurt anyone, you know.
Yeah, there's a line there though too, of course. But again, like that comes back to, that means you are already expanding outside when you do anything outside of that from the general mindset of your average person. Some of these are easy, you know, like chaotic good, lawful good. Those are pretty easy to do. You're like, lawful good is just like, we're obeying all the rules. Chaotic good, it's like, you know, we have to do whatever it is, as long as it's for the greater good, regardless of like, you know, what kind of laws and stuff it breaks, you know. But yes, when we get into like those chaotic neutrals and then like some true neutral, a little bit of the evils, you know, you start getting into these weird moralities and stuff like that, of like alignments and stuff like that, and getting outside of that purview. And
now that I think about it, a better way to put it is most people perceive themselves as neutral good. People really have a hard time seeing their flaws, which is why neutral good is how most people see themselves.
And the thing is, yes, there is the layer of what you are as a person, the layer of what you are comfortable with, and what the table's comfortable with. There's the layer of what's appropriate in whatever game setting you are doing. There are definitely like things that are there that, like, you know, that's more or less judging where actions are either moral or immoral in that world, you know, too. That kind of thing. That kind of, where's that going? If you're in a grim dark setting, you can do a lot more awful things in a grim dark setting, and it's more appropriate. But again, like, theirs comes in the, you know, as you said, the lines and veils that might come in there too.
Yep.
You know, when you walk into knowing you're doing a setting like that, you might have a few more veils open to you. You know, you're like, hey, it's like, you know, you're coming in there and know you should have those veils rather than just, you know, for those things. But that's probably where you'd have some of these things. But again, like, that comes down to then you have these things and you have to figure out where your character fits in with all these things. And again, there are plenty of games where none of that comes up. Character morality may not matter in 50 to 75% of the games, you know, honestly speaking. Simple adventures, dungeon crawls, things like that. Even going and fighting a monster, you know, that's been terrorizing a town. They've been doing bad things to a town. There should be no compass or problem about that. You know, there's a lot of these stories that you can tell that don't matter about it. But then you get into things like fighting human-based characters, spy work, thievery, political intrigue. You start getting into things that are dealing with people and then these deeper topics, and then you start having to worry about some of this stuff.
Yeah, and I wanna say something. So Monty Cook Games, you can look up like Monty Cook Games RPG consent list or consent checklist. That's just a good tool for this. If like you're playing with a completely new group, something like this is actually a good idea. Once you know each other, you tend to know where each other's, you know, uncomfortabilities are. But this is great for like a completely new group. Just wanted to throw that out there.
And again, this is again like a tool to help establish stuff, because even in a game where you are going to have to question morality, there are a lot of those games that you start worrying about that you aren't even getting close to those lines. Again, sometimes you're doing with darker games that you do deal with those lines for your table, but understanding them for yourself, at least, even if you're not in a game where you're going to have to worry about that, does help too. Because sort of like, well, I don't want to deal with that kind of stuff in a game. I'm probably not going to do that kind of morally questionable stuff, and
Yeah.
Granted, it's the shades of everything. Even like very evil people don't go crazy and do stupid stuff. Yeah, it's that kind of thing. It's the old classic, the RPG player's terrible at playing chaotic evil because they're just like, kill everything, be an asshole, and that's not how it works,
Well, it's generally they're bad at playing chaotic neutral because they tend to play chaotic evil when trying to play chaotic neutral, and they play chaotic neutral when trying to play every other line. That's kind of the joke.
Yeah. It's, there's definitely these, like, understanding things that there's nuance in things sometimes. And, that helps too when you understand, like, characters that would be more morally evil and bad. There is nuance in that,
Yeah, I think it's better to think in, like, we're talking about evil in terms of, like, long-term goals. Like, what is your character's long-term goal? Like, maybe your character's long-term goal is revenge. You want to just kill somebody, and you don't care. And honestly, I think a better way to think about, like, a character of different morality is how you go about achieving your goal, not just even your goal. Because it's like, you basically are just trying to go out and, like, do something, but are you someone who will try and achieve your goal no matter what? Are you someone who will, is your character someone who will, who actually cares about the people around them, or are they willing to burn a path to get to what they want?
Yeah. And again, like, it also comes down to there are actions that, the veils come over it. Like, if you are on a revenge quest and you're willing to do everything to do it, what kind of revenge do you want to get? Is it like, if it's something where you've lost everything to this person and that you lost all your family and loved ones and you want to take them out and all their family, that's kind of awful. That's a terrible thing. Maybe that's what your character's willing to do to get revenge on them. But that comes down to the question is sort of like, well, what are you going to do to that kind of thing? That's kind of like, that has questions. And you do have to be in a situation where that would make sense. Maybe, plenty of times that revenge doesn't go into like the I will also murder your family line. It goes into I'm just going to kill you line. I might hurt your family to get to you, but I don't want to necessarily kill them. They're not you, and that is a level of morality that you're asking about, these things that are in there, and understanding that. And there are some, like, when you face things that are bad, people that kill people, do awful things to people that, a lot of these things that are out there, how do you face it? What do you say to it? That sometimes is also the question too. Especially if you understand what's in a world, and I think that comes down to it too, is understanding the setting you're going to play in. Because again, some of these darker settings where you will have questions of character morality, you already are stepping into a place that you're going to have to set, like, more veils and certain lines. You can't be very strict with your just putting your foot down in a lot of these things because it doesn't fit in the setting sometimes. And if you're not comfortable in the setting, say that before you're joining. I think that's the entire thing too. You got to be like, I can't play this. This is like an awful place. Like, I got to be honest. Like, when we talk about something like a very grim dark, hey, playing the 40k RPG, there's a lot of shit that goes down in 40k that's very awful. If you're playing in that RPG, are you willing to play in that kind of game and have that kind of world? I have to say yes first before you go in there, because you might be like, if I'm doing like an Inquisitor game, hey, Inquisitors do some really awful stuff in the name of their, of the Emperor.
Mm-hmm. And there are some things that you can, and there are some things you can do which are kind of just considered generally bad. Like maybe you can maybe you want your character to be racist against elves. honestly, like if you actually like portray like your character is like extremely racist, that's something that can be a bad character. You know, so there are like actions like that where it's like your character just dislikes something in that kind of way, for no good reason. Then there's like, is your character willing to torture? Are they willing? Usually a lot of these are, I mean, kind of as kind of more just an RPG group in general, there are things that there are lines that you just don't cross.
Yeah.
Like basically forcing yourself on someone of the opposite gender in the game is generally a universal no way.
I mean,
like
what? Honestly, forcing yourself on anybody kind of hits that though too.
Well,
assault in any kind
anyone.
of ways.
I guess that's a good point. Anyone. I was trying to figure out a way of saying something without using the word.
Yes. Basically, any kind of assault, sexual or otherwise, can be pretty bad. Just because again, usually the idea of just assaulting someone is you're just beating them up for the sake of beating them up too. I mean, it does go much more extreme when you go into like sexual assault. But yes, that is a level of like even just that's those are multiple levels of
normal assault. I think can be appropriate for a darker game if you're playing a darker character and everyone's okay with it.
Yeah.
SA is just no on multiple levels because there's no way to portray that without having other problems.
Characters really shouldn't be dealing with that kind of thing. It's on the list of like there's a lot of topics that like you really shouldn't have characters deal with. I'm just gonna say that then. Now,
100%.
If it happens in the world around you, that tends to be in darker games where you are ready for it and you understand that kind of thing happens.
Yep.
Then you will probably be talked about with like those kind of things that happen in this world. It's pretty awful. You understand it's happening behind the veil. It's not involving your characters.
No.
Like as soon as you don't want your characters involved in that at all because that kind of it's a different life entirely.
Yeah, basically, I would argue the things that if you're going to make a bad character, things to avoid are SA, terrorism, and genocide, I think are the big ones I can think of.
Yeah, I'd agree. Those are the three that are probably the big ones to avoid.
That said, I feel like we've done some kind of terrorist thing in one of our games.
Yes,
but not for the same purpose.
It's the one man's freedom fighter is another man's terrorist. I think that's the kind of thing too. Is you can be in the eyes of a group labeled a terrorist while you are really in an area where you are a freedom fighter more or less. Because if you are morally on the right side and doing things that are like that, like honestly,
I think the whole idea for terrorism is like the true terrorism, which is like blowing up a completely harmless, area to try and make a point.
Doing something that is you are basically trying to instill fear and terror into a group of people through any means necessary, even more extreme ones. That is the point of why they're called a terrorist. They are trying to instill terror. They're trying to instill fear. Yeah. Granted, if I am trying to instill fear into specific individuals and not the populace, that's different. That individual might call me that, but that individual might be a bad guy.
That individual might also spin it to the populace to try and make them fear. And so that's where it kind of draws a weird line. But still, I would argue like true terrorism you try and avoid.
Yes.
Genocide 100% avoid, and SA. Those are the three off the top of my head that are completely
again like
big no-nos.
Those are the ones that you just don't want to have your characters involved in. There are other ones that I definitely think are like
domestic abuse is also another.
Domestic abuse. Honestly, I kind of want to say because it's something that's like it's slavery. It can be in your world, but your characters really shouldn't be involved in it.
That's actually true.
Yeah.
I'd agree with that. That tends to be one you don't want your players encouraging. I could see if you're really playing a darker game that being okay. But that's like a everyone agrees. That's one you have to get everyone's consent with ahead of time.
That's a tough one to go. That's one of those ones that's on the edge. But I do feel like in the majority of the times, because again, like there's a lot of problems in it because it's hard. It not only is it a hard topic, I'm not going to lie, it's hard to role play, and it's one of those ones you can't throw behind a veil if you have it with involving your player characters.
Yeah, I mean, it's just, again, this is why I think it's like possible, because like it could be culturally okay in the world you designed, meaning your players have access to it. You know, and it's kind of one of those things where it's like, but you can just as a GM not address it and basically say you guys as players aren't allowed to do this, but this is what's going on around you.
There are,
or you can say it's okay as long as everyone agrees.
I'm not going to lie, take a step back. I think there are stories involving things like that can be done correctly. But again, that's you're asking for a challenge then. Kind of things like maybe your character really wants to free this person, but maybe there's like a magic involved in it you can't get rid of, so you bought them now, and you really you're just treating them as their own, but you want to like, you know, figure out a way to remove the magic. Like, it's like slave magic is a thing that doesn't exist in some places.
And this is, I think, why I kind of said domestic abuse is a big no-no, because like generally that's done to someone who's like, I'm saying like, okay, your character actually has a significant other or something like, or has a slave.
Yeah.
Beating that person is a big no. Don't go there if you're trying to play someone of a
Blaze is correct. Skulls and Shackles at the beginning. You are press ganged into a ship. That is, if you don't know what press ganging is, that is they capture you and force you to work for a ship.
Yep.
And because you are in the middle of the ocean, you can't leave. You die. So you are effectively enslaved. Now, granted, you can eventually get your freedom from that, but for a period of time, you are in there, and you are also mistreated and basically whipped and stuff. Now, granted, they're doing very awful things to you at the beginning of this adventure, but they aren't crossing certain lines because they basically want you to work for them. You know, they want you to work. It's like, you work for us, you get some money, maybe you can leave.
This is also done against the players. We're talking about things the players do.
That's what I mean. Yeah, that's why I think also like in Skulls and Shackles, I did feel like it is an option in it because it is more of a morally gray adventure. But I feel like the majority of people that play in that don't press gang anybody then. They usually recruit people.
Yeah.
There are actual rules in it because it is a morally gray adventure for press ganging. You want to do the same thing that happened to you? But again...
I see. There are rules for it specifically, which is why you bring it up. Okay.
Yes. In that case, that is a good one because it's the start is that, and then they have those rules later on. Granted, it's sort of like... It should have a bad taste in your player's mouth because it happened to them.
Yeah. I literally know people who would do that though. Like, that's the thing, like as players. So
my two experiences with it, me as a player, we didn't do that. We were like, screw that.
Like here's the thing, because it's like I do know people who play the game as it's a game. Yes. Meaning like these people aren't real. So we could just kind of have fun. It's like, oh, we need these people to make our characters better. Therefore, we're going to like I know players who do that. I like those are the kind of people in my high school group.
Look, I'm not gonna lie. These are like I can say like there's lines like that you know like I don't want to do that. But then there's these same people that are like, well, I'm gonna go raid this ship and kill a bunch of people on board and like, you know, steal all their money because we're pirates. You know.
Yep.
It's that two halves of like, well, that's the thing you can do. Still.
And I guess when talking about playing a morally gray character that doesn't fit your morality, I think the biggest thing is just knowing where to not cross. It's hard to say like how to play that because everyone's different. It's like basically saying, how do you play someone who's different than it's I don't even know how to explain it, but how to make a reference. It's like
you understanding how to play a character is not always easy. Like, there are plenty of characters you can make. You can make someone that is a unique culture in a world. You can do a unique species. Heck, you can play someone of a different gender, in one of these games. You know, you do in video games too. In a role-playing game, you are diving more into it. Are you going to automatically understand everything for that character? No, you are not. You're going to have to kind of guesstimate and understand and try to kind of like put your mindset into whatever this character is. The society, the species, you know, whatever they are. You know, you kind of have to build that. And that is related to morality in a lot of ways and how the characters would act. And you have to kind of ask questions on like how they were raised and stuff like that. And I think this also helps kind of get you into that mindset of that character, of whatever you're building to ask with. Because again, many of us do keep simple characters, and that's just, you know, you just play yourself sometimes, you know. But there's a lot of times then you go crazy. Like, I'm not going to lie.
Or you, there's playing yourself and playing flat characters, I think, are the two most common.
Yeah, I think my first character was incredibly flat. But my first character was, you know, with my brother, playing some of the black box, which is one of the reprints of the first edition. So that's my first character, you know. So I can kind of say like, oh yes, I had some very heavy developments of characters since then. But again, like I had that moment where I was playing a black character. You know, so I learned from there and kind of then got into my mindset of things, you know. And things can shift during the game too. So
yeah, but I think a big thing though when playing someone who's kind of more evil or an evil alignment is to make just like really, instead of getting it like just being like, oh, I want to get into a headspace of a bad person, literally just get into a headspace of someone who has a goal and doesn't care who gets in the way of that goal. Like if you make a character whose goal is to be rich, it doesn't matter. Like, okay, you can rob people, that's one way, but that might not be convenient because you can't fight people off or you're not good at hiding, so robbing isn't the best way. But you make a character who's sociable, and then you just like convince people to get, you know, you basically do you know, cons, you know. So you don't care that it hurts these people, and that's kind of, I think, the big thing is just like it's like a goal plus a care level is basically the two pieces that make a you know, someone different.
And this helps get that level of morality of your character. Yeah. And it's all coming together. It's like there is a lot of aspects of these that are layered together, you know, and I think that's the thing about it, where we're hitting all those layers, and I think that's something that you are always going to get when it comes to character creation. There are layers to think about. And granted, most of the time when we hit these layers, we go through them pretty quickly, you know? It's just that sometimes you gotta think a little deeper. And that's what you have to be ready for, you know? You might come to a game where you need that deeper thought.
Yeah. And that's kind of the thing, is just, I say care level, I think a better way of putting it is saying a clear distinction of who you do and do not care about. As in, like, rather than saying, like, oh, I don't care about anyone, you could be, I don't care about anyone but myself. I don't care about anyone except my close friends, oftentimes the party. Those characters are very hard to get into a group, like, if you don't already have, like, but then again, they could see them as useful, you know? And it's like, that's kind of the thing. It's like, you may not like people, but you can see them as useful. It's like, basically, it's very much just a mentality. And that's basically how you play characters who are generally more not how you think, is just... I would say it's basically just pick who your character likes. I mean, because that's the thing. There are people who are like really bad people, but like are super caring towards their family. There are people who are super caring towards everyone except their family. You know, it's kind of just like, so that's why I say
it's sometimes like, again, it's like when you get into like true crime and like, you know, things like killers or serial killers, some of them were really great family people, great to their friends, but they're like horrific murderers, you know, and like, oof, sheesh, wow, you know.
Yeah. I mean, those tend to have like deep things, like, you know, the few ones where they have gotten like a significant amount of detail on like why and stuff. A lot of them just have like, actually, like, I think it's John Wayne Gacy, who's like basically just felt like he just had like a part. He's like, oh yeah, I just feel like there's a part of me that like I couldn't show to the world, and it had to come out somehow, you know. And it kind of just built, you know. So it's like, that
does get into a little bit of like the, you know, the character and what kind of thing it is, you know, like that's a level that's really like, you know, you're not going as far as like the serial killer over there. That's hard to play stuff like that and deal with stuff like that.
Yeah, see, you know what? I think we should add serial killing to the list of things you shouldn't do unless you're playing, what is that World of Darkness one? Slasher, I think it's called?
Ooh, yeah, I forgot.
There's one splat in World of Darkness that is literally you play serial killers, but
Yeah.
But that's still one you should avoid in most cases, unless you. That's on the same line as slavery, where it's all like everyone in your group has to be in complete agreement that that's okay with. You know, that's like consent from everyone ahead of time.
It's look, you know, it's like I can say like there was a thing that was like question moral for all of our players, but one of our players did something, but he managed to like do it in a way that like was weird. We were playing a joint World of Darkness game, and one of our players was playing a Formian, which is a thing from Werewolf, where you are like a mutant and like created, I think it was Formian, and you're created like Pentax, and you like also have like you know, worm spirits in you and stuff like that. Anyway, he had to eat people. Yeah. Now, he did it because he was like, I still don't want to be too awful, so basically, he preyed on homeless people. Gave them a nice meal and then ate them. It was one of those things that we all gave him a look, and unfortunately it was stuff for the type of character he chose. But we never talked about it, we never did it in game. That was always in the background of stuff he had to do, you know? That was behind a veil. But it is World of Darkness. World of Darkness, there's already vampires, werewolves, and a lot of other things too. You know, the vampire in our team was already drinking the blood of people. Am I the vampire? I might have been a little vampire in that group. I have to remember what I was. I think I was the vampire. Yes, I was the vampire in that group. So I'm already like, well, I already drink the blood of people. But that seems a little far, you know? So, but that's a point in time where we brought in this kind of like, you almost went a little far for the vampire, you know? That's the kind of thing of like, that was something that could have happened in a vampire game or in a game with Formians. Like there's an adventure, I think there's an entire thing for playing characters for Pentax and stuff like that, where that's a little bit more appropriate, you know, the cannibalism thing, you know? But you're getting into a level there that's like, ugh. I mean, there's a vampire that has to eat flesh too, but they're also no longer human, where the Formian guy kinda is still. I mean, that's kind of the difference there too. It's like, you're still a little human. Like, you know, me, vampire, I'm undead, you know? I'm different than you. I'm no longer alive. I'm no longer this
Definitely
thing.
not Fomorian.
I have to remember what it was.
Because there is something from Werewolf called the Volag, which are sometimes referred to as the Fomorian, but they don't seem to be what. Yeah, they're an ancient race of giants, so I don't think that's here.
Oh, I think it was just Fomori, because it's a type possessed aligned with the worm. Because he like had a worm possessing him and kind of corrupting him physically.
Bane possesses a human. Yeah,
he was from Freak
Fomori.
Legion. That was the book, Freak Legion. Yeah.
It's just Fomori, not Fomorian. Fomorian is something else.
Yeah. So it's Fomori. Yeah, he was a Fomori, and he was doing stuff from Freak Legion, the book. Yeah, I think like Freak Legion, if you are playing that, you are diving into very dark areas of World of Darkness, you know? It's the same as playing I can't remember the name of the vampire right now, the type that eats flesh. As soon as you do that one, you're going on a totally different level, because you're killing people, you know? You cannot not kill people, you know, when it comes to like, you know, eating flesh alongside of it. It's like World of Darkness is always morally gray, but there are different levels, and you hit them sometimes.
Yep. Yeah, I mean, like I mentioned, there's one called Slasher.
Yeah, I honestly, until you mentioned that again, forgot all about it. You're like, oh yeah, Slasher. So yeah.
Yeah, so, I mean, basically, I could tell you how to play different moral characters. There's very much, I would say there's two types of kind of morally gray heroes. There's the straight up villains, which you generally don't play because they're just people who do bad or want things that are generally bad, that kind of stuff. Then there's the people who want something good, but are willing to go about it the wrong way, and the people who want something not good, but kind of go about it in a good way. It's the hero and anti-hero. It's the anti-hero and anti-villains tend to be like the anti-hero is generally it's like the kind of people who do good things for the wrong. Oh yeah, it's do good things for the wrong reasons and do bad things for the right reason. Those are the two kind of overarching people who are in the morally gray area.
I definitely think the morally gray is the direction kind of that is where we're talking about this from. Yeah. It's not that there aren't games where you play an actual villain. It's just that tends to be also very rare. And again, that's as soon as you get into that, that's when a lot of those discussions happen in the background. The morally gray tends to be the area where you might not have as many need for some of these bigger, deeper discussions because some of the stuff just really shouldn't come up in your games.
Yep.
If they're morally gray, you're probably not dealing with a lot of the heavier topics, You might deal with some of them, but most of the time, you're not worrying about that, Yep.
But yeah, as for how to do it, have a clear goal in mind for your character.
Yeah.
And just filter everything through that lens. It's in my opinion, is the best way to handle characters who work very differently from you. I mean, if you're playing someone who's like way more good than you, and it's like that kind of thing, think about through that kind of lens as well. I think we've talked a lot about the darker side, but we haven't talked about the lighter side, where most people are kind of more of a neutral, true neutral or neutral good, and trying to play that lawful good where you abide by a group or you follow a deity. Those are also things that can be kind of hard for you to like kind of wrap your hand around from a moral perspective. And it's all like, well, I mean, deity, it's like, okay, well, you got to remember that like those deities have rules or things they worship. And it's like, you got to remember, it's like, no, no, my deity likes animals. I'm going to stand out of this fight while you guys kill this bear and, pray for its soul when it dies, because my deity, commands to respect nature, so it's like, again, it's still very much though, instead like that's less goals and more just clear, Pathfinder terms and themas, things your character will not do. You can have one where your character won't kill, like maybe they have a reason for it. What do they do when the party members kill? Do they turn the other way, or do they chastise them? Do they demand that everyone tries to do it, or do they just follow it themselves? You just have to it's basically just creating a bunch of rules for yourself. And not even like they have to be that complicated. It's just a few things can actually make a very big difference.
And again, that's like your beliefs, your understanding, your character's backstory also helps define these morality that you're going to follow. I think that's a good place to be there. It's one of those things, again, it's like, it is a bigger topic, and I think I, with your help, managed to, point it in the direction I wanted to talk about this in, We got it to where where I wanted it. We just had to kind of like taper it into that spot, Big topic.
It's like, in the end, it was kind of just more about morality in gaming in general and how to run it and how to play it. But
understanding that your character and player are going to have different morality and trying to work on that. Anyway, okay. Shall we talk about our week in gaming? So, I think I didn't. We had Joe's game, right? Yeah, we had Joe's game.
We did have Joe's game. Yep. We just kind of explored around a town and tried to figure out what was going on.
Yeah, we went to the Plane of Fire, and here's the thing. We were given, 3 really difficult, directions to go in, and I'm like, I don't know we just passed.
And well, Joe clearly wants, okay, from a player's perspective, I recognize Joe really wants us to do the, steal it from the statue thing. He literally has a battle map for it.
Yeah, I got the feeling that was the one he really wanted too. But,
But my character actually thinks just going to the mines with the people and being like, hey, can we have some or buy some? And if not, like, and if they attack us, we can just get some, you know? Sounds like the best one for me. But
I wouldn't not be against being convinced to try to convince them first, you know, the people on the surface. That definitely is within purview of my thoughts on it, you know, as my character.
Yeah. And then that's me as a player. Hedwig wants to just go talk to the guy because he's nice and he'll probably give us what he wants because everyone's nice until they prove otherwise.
We're like, Hedwig, tap, tap, tap. He's proven otherwise. Before you got
Not
here.
to me.
But yes. It was an interesting adventure. So we're like on the case. We're trying to find what we need. And we've made it to the city of brass.
Yeah,
So,
we've just kind of been exploring and just getting the lay of the land, figuring out what's there and what we can do with it.
Wednesday we had Fall of Avonswell, and you came up with and enacted a plan to get a bunch of people out. And I think it was a good plan. I was basically going to let you guys just figure it out on your own, and we'll see how it went. And I think it did pretty good.
Yeah, I mean we're now in the middle of it. We got ambushed right at the end, and we got other stuff we need to do.
Yep. So there's still some actions to be done. We'll see how well it all goes. Yeah. I didn't do anything else tabletop related other than my normal video recordings, so I'm pretty.
I had my game today.
Oh, you had your game today. Yes. Can't forget that.
So we ended last time with basically two. So basically, someone tried to kind of take a peek while one of the other players was doing a big ritual. Basically, one of those like really long casts that takes like several. That would take like a minute or whatever, or more. Well, minute in D&D 2e is one round, but it would take like 10 minutes, I think it was. But he tried to like examine something, and it triggered a whole thing, causing like us to be, and then that being triggered another thing, and then we were basically pincered. So there was two directions because there are these curtains, and basically tried to peek under one, but then they sensed us somehow. Well, we found out it was body heat, but and that caused them to open the curtain, and they must have had a way to signal the another group because they immediately opened their curtain as well, causing two directions to be attacked. So my character at the that was the end of last game. The beginning of this game, I use my character, who's an image maker, who can. So illusions normally don't work on undead, but as an image maker, mine are realistic enough to where they do work on undead. So I actually made it look like the curtain closed on that side, and it confused enough of the undead to where they didn't actually try and like barge through. Because he's like, yeah, they all gotta save, but like, I think the head one probably failed, which is why it probably worked. If I had to guess, the one who's controlling them all. But it's probably like a lich of some kind, not like a lich, but like some kind of evil, undead priest or something like that. Anyway, so that allowed, so I really didn't do much this game, but it basically, I just, stood there concentrating on the illusion spell while the others fought off the other side, so that way we could be attacked by one side only and not two. Also let the other player finish his spell, which was supposed to create a ward against undead over an area. So now we're in a much better position. So I kind of saved the day, in my opinion.
Sometimes it happens. I can see that though too. But sounds like a fun time. I guess
it just meant I didn't get to do much this game.
Look, you did enough. You saved the day. Well,
In over your head with the price of doing laundry these.
Wow, something played when I closed something. That was loud. Thanks. Me closing channel and then opening up another window because of that. It's something I had not loaded in as soon as I closed the tab. And started playing in the background. Love that. Anyway, thank you everybody for joining me today. I was cleaning up post show here to clean up my tabs.
I was doing that too. Yes.
Anyway, thanks for joining us. Thank you again, Worm. Why don't you give your shout out before I give my final things here?
Yeah, I'm DiamondWyrm. You can find me on twitch.tv/DiamondWyrm or at DiamondWyrm on Twitter and Blue Sky. DiamondWyrm9234 on Twitter. Nope, DiamondWyrm9234 on YouTube. And my next stream will be tomorrow or Sunday at 10:30 a.m. Although there's definitely gonna have to be a break in the middle because I'm gonna have to help my family bring in a couch.
Couch Adventures.
Yeah, they brought in all the other stuff today. I thought we were gonna do that all tomorrow, but
apparently some of it's today.
Yeah, I think they just had time today, and they were like, "We're gonna do it," because they literally texted me while my phone was over on my bed. They texted, 5 minutes before they arrived. So, and I was doing the stream, so I didn't actually go and get up and get my phone.
As for myself, I will be back on Tuesday. I should, at this point in time. We'll continue to run through a couple more sessions of Solaris. I don't think I'll go super far, but again, I'm just trying to basically learn the new version of everything and get used to the new setup. It's been interesting diving into and learning what's going on now for the game. Kind of relearning some of the
Solaris. I just wish it wasn't so long to play a single game.
It is a very long time, and I know there's ways to cut that down, but it's like, it's hard to do that. It's hard to balance that with, still getting to do all the stuff in the game,
Yep.
Which is kind of a weird thing to say. But, no, there are a lot of, little things now that exist that did not last time I played. And it's been interesting kind of, diving into and learning about a lot more of them.
Yep.
I'll do that for a little bit more tabletop related stuff on Wednesday and Thursday. Check out Fall of Amoswell Wednesday at 8. Check out the show next week at 6. We'll be back there. Hopefully you can join. And I think that's all the major stuff. So everybody, have a great rest of your weekend. And until the next time, I'll say see you and goodbye to all of you. Farewell, bye.